to XRef a drawing or to attach an external reference, all you got to do is come over here and click on this little XRef button. What it does is it attaches a drawing to our current drawing temporarily. It's similar to a block, but you can attach or detach it, and it doesn't store itself into the drawing. A nice thing about an external reference is that if you ever update a drawing, like our floor 1, the one we're going to be attaching, it'll automatically update in our new drawing. A block, you would have to go back and redefine it. So hopefully your first floor plan looks similar to this. And I want you to place it just above your, oh, it's not liking me. There we go, just above your elevation. Now, this is not currently mapped to where it is, but what we're looking at is our garage down here. We're looking at our second story. If you remember, we only have the second story in this portion of our building. And then that little mudroom, bathroom, and stairs that we have. For me to make this drawing mapped exactly to this one, I want to draw myself a nice little temporary line. I'm going to draw it from the left edge of our garage. Not the gutter edge, but the left edge of the wall. And I just want to draw this line here straight up. Doesn't matter how far, just straight up. What this vertical projection is the left edge of our garage. And so I want to align the left edge, or this outer exterior wall, with this garage line. So simply, I'll take my external reference, I'll move it from that endpoint to where I just touch any portion of that line. Now this is where some students make a little mistake, and they think that this second line that we have on the inside here has something to do with our wall thickness, and it doesn't. Right, our garage walls are 4.5 inches thick. Now that's with the stud layer, the sheathing, and the interior gypsum board. That has nothing to do with the outside trim board that we have on our garage. So please be careful. Do not think that these lines here represent anything on the outside other than the external pieces of our structure. Once I have them lined up, I can delete that temporary line. And if I drew more temporary lines, I'd find that the outside edge of my garage touches the outside edge of this, the outside edge of my second story touches here, and same thing with this outside edge of my second story to this side. What's super cool though is that this column here is this column here, just in a different view. And so if I want to get this column copied over to the left at the exact same spacings of these columns here, well, I can use this drawing to make that copy a lot easier. I'm going to go ahead and grab just my column, and I'm not even going to look at this drawing anymore. I'll keep it in my view so you see what's happening, but I'm going to focus my attention up here. When I copy, I'm going to be copying this column from this reference. I'm going to use my bottom left endpoint of that column, and when I copy it over, I'm just going to go to the bottom left endpoint of my column on my floor plan. Each time that I click on that bottom left corner, what I'm doing is I am copying over the exact distance that these columns here are located in our actual floor plan. I'm going to skip these two because they're a little bit shorter, and I'm also going to skip this one here. If I placed it, what it would do is it would go over our trim board, and when you have too many lines on a detail, things kind of get jumbled. So it's okay to omit certain details as long as you see them in other plans. All right, our bottom two, or not our bottom two, but our two that belong to the stairs here, those ones are a little bit shorter. In your document, if you go down to page 16, the very top view, you'll see that they are 3 feet 10 inches tall. We know where they're placed left and right, but they're a little bit shorter than these nice tall columns. Well, I'm just going to use a real cool tool called the stretch command to get them a little bit shorter. Right? What I want to do is take these columns, one of them, and if I remember the math of where they were spaced, they were at a 2-foot distance. I could copy them from my external reference, or I could just copy them down in this drawing 2 feet over. I could do the same thing for this one here and copy that one toward the inside by 2 feet. To use the stretch command properly, you hit S enter, and you have to put a green crosshatch around what you want to move. Anything that you cut through will be stretched. Anything that you fully surround will be moved. And so I'm cutting through those 2 vertical lines on the bottom. And after I've made my selection, I can just bring them down. I have to do some math to figure out how tall they are, right? However tall they were, 7 feet, 7 5/8, I forget. But I know I want them to be 3 feet 10 inches tall. So instead of me stretching them just randomly, I like to offset this bottom line up to the upper height, 3 feet 10 inches. I know that I want the top of my column to be at the bottom of this line. So when I start my stretch command, S enter, I'm going to actually take both at the same time. If I put a green crosshatch around those top column caps, I can go from the top of one of my columns straight down, see it's stretching it, straight down to the top of that line. Make sure that you are going straight down perpendicularly, not to an intersection. And now we've got our lower columns. Go ahead and either trim or delete this line and just put your column caps right back on with the line. Now we have lower columns for when you're walking up the stairs, ones that are going to be down here. And those are 2 feet lower than where these ones here started. I'm simply just going to take both of these and copy them down 2 feet. Now I need to draw in my bottom line or my ground line. I'm just going to connect both of those because it's actually the bottom of a step. When you're looking at your columns, you're going to see the ones that are lower before you see the upper ones. And so we have some trimming that we need to do. I would be able to look through and see this entire column, this whole column here, and then my cap before I saw my upper column. So I want to trim out those lines inside of this lower column. If you see the difference between my left one and my right one, this is what we're looking for, and this is what we started with. In order to do that, we're going to be trimming this horizontal line here, here, and then inside this cap, the 2 little vertical lines, and we'll be able to get our column. All right, now we have some steps coming up. Those steps, there are 3 of them, or you would have to step up 3 times to get to here. And so I'm going to need 2 more lines within this spacing. If you remember the spacing from our lower edge to where we just started, that is a distance of 2 feet. Well, if I need 3 steps within 2 feet distance, I'm going to go 2 feet equals 24 inches. 24 divided by 3 is 8. I'm just going to take this line here and offset it down by 8. And then offset this next one down by 8. And then I get equal steps coming up. On the bottom of our porch, or the base of our porch, still looking at the first drawing on page 16, we're going to see that our porch is 1 foot in height. So I need to take this line, and that line, and I need to copy them down by 1 foot. In the book, it looks a little weird over here. It doesn't tell us a distance that it sticks out beyond. Don't have it stick out beyond. Just draw our line straight up. The reason that we're doing that is again because of this external reference. The edge of our porch stops at the edge of this column. That's what we drew, so that's what we want to represent down here. That concludes our south elevation. We can detach this external reference, but I'm going to keep it on for the next drawing. We're going to be using our external references to refer back to our floor plans to make sure that we're drawing our actual home.